Bigfoot. Bigfoot, also commonly referred to as Sasquatch, is a tall, ape-like creature that is believed to inhabit the forests of North America. The name Bigfoot comes from the gigantic footprints that were discovered by construction workers all the way back in 1958. With the release of the Patterson-Gimlin film in 1967, a short video that captured a towering bipedal creature moving through the woods, Bigfoot swiftly became a cultural icon. However, Bigfoot hunters have escalated their efforts over the years. Like in 2017, when a hunter shot and nearly killed a shamanist wearing a fursuit because the hunter believed he was the cryptid. Sightings are commonly attributed to pareidolia, which is the tendency to observe human-like faces and figures within the natural environment. Skeptics also point to bears and escaped apes as possible answers to the sightings, but Bigfoot enthusiasts remain convinced that it's an undiscovered primate species. Loch Ness Monster. The Loch Ness Monster, also known as Nessie, is a mythical creature in Scottish folklore that is said to inhabit Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands. It is often described as large, serpentine, and long-necked, with humps rising above the water. Sightings of similar water beasts can be traced back to as early as the 7th century, but the infamous surgeon's photograph of 1934 solidified its fame. However, the creature in the photo was reportedly a toy submarine built by the son of the photographer, who admitted the image was a hoax in January 1991. In 1954, a sonar scan was conducted by the fishing boat Rival 3. Its crew noted a large object keeping pace with the vessel at a depth of 146 meters, which was detected for 800 meters before contact was lost and regained. Proof of Nessie's existence remains anecdotal, however, as the numerous scans and studies that have followed all of this have led to inconclusive results. Chupacabra. Chupacabra, meaning goat sucker in Spanish, is a cryptid originating in Puerto Rican folklore. As the name suggests, it was reported to prey on livestock and suck their blood. Early descriptions portrayed it as reptilian and alien-like, with spines along its back, while later accounts described it as a hairless, dog-like animal. The first Chupacabra attack occurred in 1995, when farmers discovered 8 of their sheep dead, blood completely drained from their body, with 2 vampire-like puncture wounds near the neck. Curiously, most incidents attributed to the Chupacabra occurred during or after a major drought, which leads researchers to theorize that the attacks are caused by wild predators that lost their usual prey to the drought and were forced to hunt the livestock of farmers for sustenance. Biologists suggest that Chupacabra reports often involve misidentified animals, such as dogs with mange. Mothman. Mothman is a winged humanoid cryptid first seen in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. The first sightings occurred in November 1996, when 2 young couples reported seeing a large winged creature near an abandoned TNT plant. They described it as having glowing eyes and a wingspan of around 10 feet. When Mothman sightings were reported near the 1967 collapse of the Silver Bridge that killed 47 people, some began to believe that he was an omen of disaster. Mothman has become a local legend in Point Pleasant, with the city even holding festivals and building statues and museums for the creature. Researchers conclude that sightings are likely sandhill cranes or large herons, and connect the glowing eyes to the red eye effect, which is caused by the reflection of light from flashlights or other bright light sources. Jersey Devil. The Jersey Devil is a cryptid said to haunt the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. There are many different descriptions, but the most common attributes are a goat-like head, bat wings, clawed hands, and a forked and pointy tail. It is also reported to move quickly and emit blood-curdling screams. The Jersey Devil is often linked to the legend of Mother Leeds, who, back in the 18th century, cursed her 13th child to become a demon. Waves of hysteria spread in the early 1900s, where newspapers published hundreds of encounters that describe the Jersey Devil wreaking havoc. Skeptics argue that old stories about the Jersey Devil were merely urban legends told to children for their entertainment, or simple misidentifications of known animals. Yeti. The Yeti is a cryptid that supposedly inhabits the Himalayan mountains and other snowy regions among Tibet and Nepal. Similarly to Bigfoot, it is often described as a large, bipedal, ape-like creature that is covered with brown, gray, or white hair. In the West, the term abominable snowman was popularized in 1921, where an explorer includes an account of large wolf-like footsteps while venturing near Mount Everest. A famous artifact associated with the creature is the Pangboche hand, a mummified relic claimed to be Yeti remains, though later DNA analysis identified it as human. As per usual, the conventional traditional explanation is misidentified wildlife, but the creature remains of significant cultural and spiritual importance to Tibetan mythology. Dover Demon. The Dover Demon is a cryptid first reported in April 1977 in Dover, Massachusetts. It was sighted on 3 separate occasions over 2 nights by multiple witnesses, including 2 teens who both described it as a small humanoid with a watermelon-shaped head, orange glowing eyes, and a lack of facial features. One of them drew a sketch of the creature and even swore on a stack of Bibles to credit his account. Skeptics have suggested that the sighting may have been influenced by the pop culture of the time, as 1977 was the year Close Encounters of the Third Kind, a movie about aliens visiting Earth, was released. Curiously, in 1955, reports of a similar creature were noted in the Hopkinsville Goblins case in Kentucky. In both cases, researchers suggest a misidentification of a large owl hunting prey. Kraken. The Kraken is a legendary sea monster from a Norse mythology that originated in Scandinavian folklore. Early accounts depicted the Kraken as a colossal beast that dragged ships down into the ocean depths or created whirlpools to sink them. Tales of the Kraken date back to the 18th century and were popular among sailors. And naturalist Pierre Denis de Montfort documented various sightings of enormous octopuses attacking ships. The father of modern taxonomy, Carl Linnaeus, even listed the Kraken in the first edition of Systema Naturae, written in 1735, classifying it as a cephalopod. Modern science has identified giant squids, which can grow up to 40 feet long, as possible bases for the legend. Skinwalker. Skinwalkers are shape-shifting entities from Navajo legend, described as evil witches who can transform or disguise themselves as animals. They are often portrayed as malevolent beings capable of mimicking voices and taking the form of predators like wolves or coyotes. In the Navajo language, it directly translates to, "By means of it, it goes on all fours." The Navajo people are reluctant to share Skinwalker lore with outsiders, as it's important to understand the deep cultural context in which the stories sprouted from. However, it's slowly becoming a catch-all term for unexplained phenomena in the wild that differs from the original Navajo interpretation, such as hearing dismembered voices calling for help while alone in the woods. Bunyip. The Bunyip is a mythical creature from Aboriginal Australian folklore, particularly in southeastern regions such as Victoria and New South Wales. It is believed to inhabit swamps, billabongs, and riverbeds, and eyewitnesses describe it as a large creature with a dog-like head, horse-like tail, flippers, and a sea-like body. In 1845, the Geelong Advertiser announced the discovery of supposed Bunyip fossils found near Geelong, in which the reporter claimed he had seen the Bunyip in the wild before and could confirm that it matched. In 1846, a year later, a skull was found by a settler from the banks of Murrumbidgee River near Balranald, New South Wales. The settler said that every native that he spoke to concluded that the mysterious skull belonged to a Bunyip, and it was placed in the Australian Museum in Sydney for just 2 days. The skull was quickly removed because it was determined to have belonged to a deformed horse. Flatwoods Monster. The Flatwoods Monster is a cryptid linked to a UFO sighting in Flatwoods, West Virginia in 1952. 2 brothers, after seeing a flashing light across the sky in the distance, called some backup to help investigate. At the site of the incident, they claimed to see a tall, hovering figure with a spade-shaped head, glowing eyes, clawed arms, and a metallic shell. After being spotted, the figure made a hissing sound and glided toward the group, which caused them to flee. Later, they described smelling a pungent mist that gave them nausea. However, the following investigation reported nothing of the sort. Skeptics attribute the bright light in the sky to meteors and aircraft navigation beacons, and a heightened state of anxiety distorting the witness's perception of reality. Despite this, the Flatwoods Monster has become iconic to the town, with them even erecting a chair based on it that welcomes visitors to the town hall. Wendigo. The Wendigo is a humanoid cryptid from Algonquin folklore, often described as an evil spirit that possesses humans. It's reported to cause its victims a feeling of unquenchable hunger and the desire to murder people and/or eat their flesh. Descriptions of its appearance vary, but it's often described as an abnormally thin, skeletal figure with glowing eyes and sharp sharp claws. In some interpretations, it carries a foul odor wherever it haunts. The mythology of the Wendigo has even made its way into modern science, with a disorder known as Wendigo psychosis, where victims display an insatiable appetite for human flesh and worry that they'll become a cannibal.